If you're a functioning member of society, I'd bet it's safe to say that you probably haven't spent much time on TF2 Twitter. However, if you're a degenerate like I am, then you probably recognize this user. This is the Informant, also known as Amber, Delia, the Geneticist, or Moira. For the sake of clarity, we'll refer to her as the Informant. She's a TF2 enthusiast who garnered a following online by creating art of their OC in the TF2 style. While the account started out good-natured and fun, around the beginning of 2024, the Informant would find herself steeped in controversy after controversy. Some of these controversies include mismanaging the development of a TF2 dating simulator, slandering her ex-friends and employees, and attempting to dox multiple TF2 bot hosters. We'll be getting into these and more in just a bit. Before we begin, a disclaimer. Do not go and harass anyone discussed in this video. People who have wanted to remain anonymous will have their info censored. We'll be getting into some pretty inflammatory topics throughout the length of this video, and by the end you'll probably have some thoughts to share. If you'd leave them down below in the comments instead of sending harassment to others, I'd appreciate that. While you're down there, don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. I also stream on Twitch and YouTube 5 days a week. The Informant story is long and complicated. The point of this video is to give a clear timeline of events and to archive the heinous actions performed by a stain on the TF2 community. This is the story of the Informant. The Informant started out as an art account on Twitter. She would interact with the TF2 community and posted art frequently that I still think is pretty well made. She would comment on other TF2 artists' posts and spend time liking other people's art. It was nice. I remember first coming across her account when she was posting images of her SFM model, the Informant, and I thought it was pretty cool. I liked it and I replied saying that I thought it was neat. This was the only interaction we had up until the making of this video. Unfortunately, that's about all the information I can give you about the Informant before things started going sideways. The artist's account could have been remembered fondly if it wasn't for the monsoon of drama the Informant would get into over the next year. The first bit of deep drama she would find herself in began when she woke up one July morning to an ugly surprise. On July 15th, 2023, the Informant woke up to a notification on her phone. The notification informed her that she had traded her items to an unknown account. In a panic, she got up and checked her computer, opening Team Fortress 2. She opened her inventory to a horrifying sight. Her inventory was completely empty. All of her items, gone. Every cosmetic, gone. Every Australium, gone. All of it. She quickly looked up the trades on her Steam profile to see where the items were traded to. She saw her entire inventory was sent away to nowhere. The account that took the items was blank. Where there was normally a name, there was instead nothing at all. The people who hacked her account really knew what they were doing, and they took all $200 worth of her inventory. She took to Twitter that same day, telling her story and asking people for any and all donations. With the modest but close following she had, people helped her out. She was gifted items, Australiums, cosmetics, all sorts of items totaling around $300. It was a rare instance of TF2 Twitter coming together to help out one of their own out of the kindness of their own hearts. Or at least that would have been the case if the Informant was telling the truth. One of the first questions I had was, what scam did you fall for? There are tons of people who unknowingly click on links that end up giving their login info to scammers. I figured that's what had happened. The Informant responded that she hadn't fallen for a scam, but instead was hacked. She hadn't clicked on any links, given any info, nothing. This was before she was under fire by the bot hosters, so why would she specifically be targeted by a hacking attempt? Her inventory was only sitting around $200 worth of items. Surely there were bigger white whales that the hackers could be going after. There was always the chance that she was simply lying about not wanting to click on any links, which is understandable. It's embarrassing to admit that you fell for one of TF2's classic blunders. For those of you that don't know, you can actually track where TF2 items have been using a website called backpack.tf. So I hopped on there to see if I could find the account of the hacker that took her items. What I found instead was confusing. Some of the items had been sent to an account called Faster247. Some items had been sent on different dates from the date when she claimed she was hacked. No matter what, this trade bot would not have its name removed from any trades that it was making, as that's its job, to make trades. The informant doctored her trade history in these screenshots. She removed the bot's name from the trade. Why would she do that? Also, it's odd looking at her backpack's price history because there is zero bump for the month in which she supposedly lost her entire inventory. My guess is that the informant sold her inventory and claimed to have been hacked on Twitter to get items from her fans and her community, though this is just speculation. Several users have reached out to me asking whether or not the informant had actually gotten hacked. The bad news is, we'll never know, and she most likely wasn't. Your items have likely been stolen and sold off to fund a TF2 dating simulator that she's not even a part of anymore. Let's talk about her failed project, Team Lovetress. The big project that put the informant in the spotlight was Team Lovetress, a Team Fortress 2 themed dating simulator. The project was led by the informant, who recruited people to help with the art, writing, programming, and everything else. The response on Twitter was surprisingly large. Apparently a lot of people want to kiss Scout. From the start, the project was kneecapped by the informant when she promised what was ultimately an impossible release date. She went to Twitter saying that the game would be released in just a few months. Needless to say, that kind of timeline to release a game that is just not feasible unless you're working your dev team to the bone. This will end up being a bit of a pattern. The informant has a bad habit of promising way too much, way too early. The short development of this dating simulator was full of different problems, all caused by poor leadership and disorganization within the team. I've spoken to the Team Lovetress dev team, and every single one came to me with a similar answer. The informant was a bad boss. What you're gonna hear next is the testimonies of a few Team Lovetress devs.
We met thanks to a guy named Tyler whom I met because a friend sent me a link to the TF2 Cut Content account to download an archive for him. After I downloaded this archive, I became interested and started to work in my own fork of it, adding more content to this archive. And Tyler came in contact with me, and after a few days of chatting he invited me to a private server of whom one of the people in was her, the informant. I first met her when Tyler invited me to a voice chat where them both were chatting with their webcams on. I don't remember those days too much, sadly. Our DMs started when her, informant, was worried about Tyler having changed his Discord profile picture to a black one and added an intro banner, with a guy pointing a gun at his head. We developed over that. Most of my time with her, I can recall, was us gaming, or chatting while she drew, and 3D modeled. I recall Tyler deleting the TF2CC Discord, and informant getting me into a group with Dude, to make another TF2CC Discord and Twitter. But I'm drifting off, sorry. My first big interaction with informant was, funnily enough, the birth of Team Lovetress, where she discussed with me a draft for the Team Fortress 2 dating game. The demo of it originally contained 4 endings: happy, alternate, true and bad. This leads to the second chapter of my testimony. Well, I was the lead programmer, and only one, and second in command of the whole project. I took care of the literal software, that was the game, mixing everything into the game, it being music, assets, and other stuff informant asked me to do. That wasn't much as there wasn't much work to be done, sadly. I was indeed offered monthly payments that would help me cover my server costs, and have a tad bit for myself to save for future expenses. I was paid, once, not for the work done into the Team Lovetress software, but by making the website that I hosted in my server under a subdomain of a com domain that I own. I was paid exactly 20 Team Fortress 2 man co-supply crate keys, although I did return half of them over to informant because I needed PayPal money that she sent, but because of a PayPal error. I don't know if to think it was an error or not. I was paid 19 euros and not 21 of what the keys were truly worth. After that, I was promised by her, and I'm quoting here, "Then look, I'd be paying you 16 euros for the server, $17 USD, plus 15 USD for your monthly payment, equals 32 US dollars total, although double depends on your performance this month," double referring to my take. So if I had low performance she would only pay the server hosts. Remind I was hosting her website in a paid server. This was said the 11th of March 2024. I did all the work referring to the actual game software, so I was in charge of putting everything together into the software, as well as hosting and fixing the Team Lovetress website, which had frequent updates like mobile UI fixes, buttons resizing, compatibility with other browsers, etc. I also was maintaining a Team Fortress 2 in-game community server that was related to the Team Lovetress project and was actively announcing it. This server had frequent updates, maps added into it, and a whole lot of features like shops, taunts, friendly mode, and everything Informant asked. Basically, I believe out of the whole Team Lovetress team I was doing the biggest amount of job, and, to be honest, after discussing payments with my team members, I saw I had the same paycheck as the voice actors, which I felt was a little bit unfair since I was pulling most of the work in the game.
Hi, my name is Springy. I am the voice actress for Scout's mom and the administrator on Lovetress. I found out about the game through Tumblr because someone posted about it, and I was so excited that someone was actually making a dating sim for this franchise that I love. I actually also asked to have a voice role for Scout's mom, like directly to her, and she said yes, and that also went for the administrator. But I think the administrator was after she left. I wasn't paid at all. I just found out about it and I wanted to help out where I could, and the best thing I could do was voice acting, and I did it as a volunteer. When I joined the team, they were still figuring out game scripts, what storylines for the characters, so I wasn't given any information about when I need to get my voice lines in, and I feel like that goes for the other voice actors, but I'm not sure. With Mora, I didn't have any problems with her in the beginning. She seemed pretty chill. I wasn't a big fan of her being sort of lazy. That's what I just felt from what I heard from the other team members. But when everything sort of blew up and the Twitter getting hacked or something, or she got doxed or she doxed herself, it was a bit like, whoa, what's going on? I don't know what's happening. I was actually there when she posted the Ms. Pauling art onto Twitter, but she didn't talk to the team about it. She just immediately posted it onto the Twitter. Care, the second organizer for the new server and the new game, actually was the one to contact me about everything that was happening. They basically explained to me what was happening, and honestly, I was a bit confused, but I still wanted to help out with the game. That's why I followed the mod team to the new game and the new server.
I was first approached by the Informant through my DMs. She had friended me as she had seen me through the Public Man magazine server, and wondering what she was going to ask, I accepted, and she had offered me free art. I had denied because I didn't feel right not paying, and I didn't have any way to pay at the time. And after a few months, I saw a Twitter post made by the Team Lovetress account, which is now defunct, about needing more staff members, specifically voice actors. I messaged her, because that's what the advertisement had said to do, and she had set me up with a different person who had ended up just referring me back to her. And when we talked for a while, she had asked me to provide some sort of resume or previous examples of work. But what ended up happening instead of that was we all just ended up on a call. I say we all. Me, her, and a couple random people from the Team Lovetress server were on a public server call. And by either peer pressure from the other people in the call, or actual impressment with my talents, whatever it was, I was hired on the spot. The role I played at the time was just the Scout VA, but I had no lines to actually say. I offered to help with the writing, because I was under the assumption that she had something down already. And eventually I was just pushed to I wasn't pushed, I offered to voice every mercenary along with a couple miscellaneous characters that may have been added in the future. When I accepted to help writing, because again I offered, I was met with the basic premise for the game and a blank sheet of paper. There was nothing actually all too in-depth about the script I was given, not script, the idea I was given. And it just stressed me out a lot because I had nothing to work off of, and all I had really gotten to work off was the setting. I had finished that, and by the time that was done, I had decided to leave the team. She had offered to pay me 20 keys at the beginning, but as I had gotten more work, she had upped that to 30 keys and potentially more, but the offer had settled around 30 keys because there was effectively no work being done. I never received payment, even though I did do work, as I had voiced an advertisement for the Patreon and the OST that had been released. There was a special track of the OST, a golden album, that could only be accessed if you paid a certain amount on the Patreon, which was branded as a Patreon for the project, but it was just her personal Patreon. The majority of the payment options just said for the owner or manager, I forget the word, but it was saying it was just directly to her, nobody else. And that showed because I had never been paid. And actually, after I had left the team, after narrating the advertisement, after writing the setting, which she didn't want me to send after I had left, after just a lot of things I'll get into in a minute, she had asked me to return the payment that I had never been sent. I, one, found that extremely disrespectful, and two, just found it strange. Because, well, I had never been paid to begin with.
Another commonly held opinion of each of the employees was how they were compensated for their time and work. The informant was always very careful when talking about paying the devs. Instead of offering compensation, she would make sure to say things like, "If you want, I can pay you, but I'm really poor and it wouldn't be a lot." Since the team members were good people and believed in the game that they were making, they'd usually say, "Don't worry about it." The informant would turn around and use this as a defense regarding her paying her team. "I offered it to them, they said no, it's not my fault." Again, we see this becoming a pattern. When she got, quote, hacked, quote, she went to Twitter and guilted people into giving her items out of the goodness of their hearts. In our conversations, the informant made sure to point out that they were given to her as gifts, so it would absolve her of any guilt. Well, guess what, informant? It doesn't. Guilting your workers into doing free work is disgusting, and I think most people would agree. After all of the mismanagement and problems, the Team Lovetress dev team basically staged a coup and left the project. They moved to a new Discord server to reform and to start a team of their own to continue the development of Team Lovetress. The informant, in a raging fit, scrubbed the internet of everything Team Lovetress that she could. To get back at the people that she claimed wronged her, she decided to spend months harassing her old teammates and friends, and still does to this day. This section was originally going to be over how the informant treats her old friends and coworkers, and we will touch on that, but I think that all this harassment stems from one core issue. The informant is just kind of a dick. I'm sure that you've seen some of the harassment the informant has thrown around on Twitter or her Discord before. Maybe she got mad at you for defending the new Love Fortress dev team. Maybe you said that this art she made was racist. Maybe you didn't like how she wasn't against incestuous art of video game characters. Hell, before we even spoke, she told one of my friends that they should avoid me because I'm addicted to drama. Well, dang. After working on this script, that might be the one true thing that she's said so far. Whatever the reason was, it's pretty clear that she isn't afraid to throw hands at people online. Her ex-friends and employees were big targets of her hate and harassment. Here's what they have to say.
Yes, absolutely. I've been her friend since September of 2023 and I never felt so lied to by anyone. Not mentioning how she attacked me personally with other people, saying bad things about me and the team that left, but got harassed by a friend of hers and she got me into a lot of trouble because of her impulsive decisions like publishing my personal Twitter in her main account in a very polemic post regarding the TF2 cheater doxing document. She published things like offensive memes that alluded to my persona that I asked her multiple times to not be published. She changed a few wordings, still alluding to me, and published it without my consent. Not to mention all the months of server payments she owes me plus my own payments, that I believe are due because of how much I helped her every single day with the daily issues she had and the amount of work I put into the TL software. I feel lied to, not only because she lied to me about her speaking with Valve people, but I also was dipped in shit because of her, again, with me asking her explicit ally to not do or publish things under my name or mentioning me without my explicit consent. I feel lied to, betrayed, assaulted and scammed.
I don't feel hurt per se by Moira. It's more of like, okay, there was stuff going on. I'm not sure what was happening and it's none of my business, but I still feel like she should have handled it better and also treated her co-owner with respect.
Overall, I just feel extremely betrayed and disrespected. Everything that had happened, I wasn't given any thanks for or payment for. And as soon as I had left, I was informed that I was being actively disrespected by saying I had done no work, and the staff was actively being warned not to talk to me. The project most likely would have went down in flames much sooner if I had left earlier, seeing as she was actively making every bad decision possible on the image of the project. It had actually gotten so bad that there was an attempted leak of all my personal socials, along with a couple others. It really got to me after a while. I had come out about some of these issues, but it was met with little concern. I just feel like I was being used. And I'm upset with her, but I hold no ill will, and I hope whatever she's going through does get better, but I can't keep excusing her behavior, because it is wrong. And I would strongly advise, if you see her starting a project, don't harass her, but don't join either. Just move along, really. All that's been said and done is said and done. There's no point in any more past this. I don't see the situation getting much better soon. I don't see it getting better soon. Maybe in the future. It could be something to look forward to, but I really don't have high hopes. So I'm just hoping that this new project gets off the ground. And so far it has, but there's been a lot more development than in these past few weeks than there has been in the entirety of Team Lovetress's development cycle. The constant unfulfillable promises, not communicating with the team in any meaningful way, things were being promised and decisions were being made without consulting anybody, which I was especially upset about considering as I was the head writer at the time. I guess it doesn't really matter now since the project is done and over with. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being associated with the project, and I'm sorry if anybody who watched the advertisement I had put up donated to the Patreon, because it didn't go to the team.
A bit ago, I posted a tweet that was simply the thumbnail of this video and the text, "Soon," trademarked. So many people replied to that tweet with the story of their own about how the informant had harassed them privately after one controversy or another. We don't have the time to go over every small thing she's done, but if you want that video, comment about it. I'll see what I can do. During the writing of this video, I was in contact with the informant, and we spoke cordially enough. I played dumb plenty, making her think that I was buddy-buddy with her and taking her side on a lot of these issues. It wasn't until I called her out for lying to me that she showed her true colors, calling me names and generally losing her shit. Sorry, informant. Maybe next time, don't f***ing lie and you'll be fine. I'll get into my personal opinions real quick. In my time speaking to her, what I've ultimately discovered is that she's just an angry, spiteful person. She's a toxic bully that only likes people that directly benefit her and will throw her friends away on a whim. Interestingly, she has a good friend who shares a very similar vibe, 404, better known as TF2 Cut Content, or as I like to call him, Tyler. This bit is going to be a little bit shorter than the other parts, simply because I don't think that Tyler deserves much attention in the first place. Tyler ran a semi-popular Twitter account called TF2 Cut Content, which mostly posted fun little obscure facts about our favorite team-based shooter. People had no clue that behind the scenes, Tyler was a 35-year-old-ish man who has a few quirky little hobbies. Trying to dox people on kiwi farms, telling minors to kill themselves, and calling people slurs when he doesn't like them. Yeah, he's a real charmer. I say that as a joke, but the reason we're talking about him is because he was dating our favorite egomaniac, the informant. According to the informant, they started to date online when she was about 20 and he was around 35. They broke up just 2 months later because they both thought it was a little weird. Well, hey, they said it, not me. Tyler and the informant dating is incredibly telling of the informant. Tyler is a racist bigot that would frequently have Twitter meltdowns resulting in calling people racial slurs. Tyler likes to say that somebody should kill themselves because they pushed one of his friends, the informant, close to committing suicide. The informant has another bad habit of suicide baiting for attention to try and garner sympathy when she's under fire. I know it's a big statement, but I genuinely think that that's the case, and we'll talk about it later. Tyler, it's never okay to tell somebody to off themselves even if you don't like them. I really shouldn't have to explain this to a dude in his mid-30s. The informant and Tyler are still in contact to this day, even after Tyler was doxed by the informant in a private chat between the informant and one of her friends. Even her friend was confused. Why would she do that? There was no context or anything. She just doxed him. The informant is a big fan of doxing people. Thankfully, she's not very good at it. At one point, she had a huge document planned in which she claimed she would dox every major bot hoster in TF2. Interestingly enough, who would have guessed this was also a lie? After the debacle with Team Lovetress, the informant went quiet for a bit. During this respite, a tweet came out from a relatively new account named Omegatronic. For anyone not in the loop, TF2 is currently infested with cheaters and bots. The game is basically unplayable at its current state, and most of this is due to Valve's complete disregard of the issue. Save TF2. In Omegatronic's most viral tweet, they posted an image of their OC vandalizing Rick May's statue on his death anniversary. Upon seeing this tweet from the bot hoster, most of the TF2 community brushed it off as another trolling attempt made by some sad, strange little man with a small penis. The informant, however, wanted to feed the trolls. She immediately jumped on her account and started to quote retweet it with odd threats, saying that she was going to find their and other bot hosters' personal information and compile it in a large document. She claimed that she was using an exploit in Steam servers that she learned from one of her friends that allowed her to find the IP addresses and therefore personal info of the hosters. Initially, the reception for these threats were mixed. For the most part, people were left with a bad taste in their mouths from the idea of doxing people, even if they're as hated as the bot hosters were. Some people were excited. Someone had finally found a way to get back at the bot hosters that have been causing so many problems in their favorite game. Her tweets began to get huge interaction numbers, her popularity grew, and she loved being in the spotlight again. Seeing this popularity boom, the informant decided it'd be a good idea to tweet out that she was accepting donations because she was making this document and that it was taking a lot of time. Keep this in mind. Some of the smarter people in the TF2 community were skeptical. They've never heard of this method the informant was using to get the IPs of the hosters. One of these creators was Zenith. Here he is with some thoughts.
Hi, so when I think of big platforms leaking IP addresses, I think of two big examples, GTA 5 Online and Skype. If you don't know, playing on stock GTA 5 servers puts you at risk for your IP address to be compromised, same as calling someone on a service like Skype. The reason why is because these services use a type of internet connection called peer-to-peer. In the simplest of terms, this is done by your computer connecting directly to another via the internet, and each computer sends and receives data directly. This is the most basic form of internet connection, but it's also super vulnerable, because at the end of the day, it's just your unprotected computer going into another unprotected computer. So if a nefarious actor wanted to get your IP address, all they'd have to do is use a program like Wireshark and your IP is theirs. But there's one problem with that, and that's that TF2 doesn't do that. TF2, and especially Casual, runs dedicated servers. It actually uses something called Steam Data Relay, but we don't have to get into that. All it is another computer that everyone connects to, and it only transmits the data that's necessary. So when you're in a Valve server, it never transmits anyone else's IP because it doesn't need to. They also run way better than peer-to-peer services, but that's besides the point. You can't just use a program and grab an IP address off of a TF2 server, and if anyone says that they can, they're lying. But let's say you do get someone's IP address. Let's pretend for a second there's a super secret zero-day exploit that somehow got patched the next day, by the way, does exist. What is someone able to do with your IP address? Well, not much. So IP addresses aren't as scary as people normally believe. You can kind of view an IP address as a profile that your ISP classifies as you. That's all it is. And every ISP is pretty good at hiding your information from anyone trying to get it. I guess you could DDoS the person, but first, that's really lame. And second off, you could just unplug your router and plug it back in, and then you have a new IP address. So that it doesn't really work. So to speak, you can't really dox somebody off of an IP address alone. You can do a basic IP address geolocation lookup and get the general location of where they live or where the ISP is. It really just depends on who the provider is. There is one way though, and I'm not going to get into the specifics of it because it is insanely illegal. And a lot of ISPs are trained against it and you'll get fucking arrested if you try it. Now, do you think that Moira, or the geneticist, informant, whatever you want to call her, called up someone's service provider and got through all the loopholes it takes just to dox a bot hoster? Yeah, me neither. They thought grabbing a Steam ID 64 was a big deal. Look, I hate cheaters and bot hosters as much as the next guy. But what I also hate are liars who don't know what they're talking about and abuse the hatred other people have for these hosters so they can get fake internet points and money. That's it. That's all I have to say. Okay, bye.
Let's talk a little bit more about the method itself that the informant claimed to be using. Here's King, the friend that she was referring to tell us more.
Hola. Hoy os vengo a explicar cómo funcionaba el exploit que he llamado expulsa y agarra. Básicamente, nuestro script se ejecutó de forma local con dos ordenadores dentro de mi misma red. Como veis, esto es nuestro router. Y aquí está un PC 1 y un PC 2. Vale, estos dos PCs estaban dentro de un servidor de Valve, aquí, jugando a Team Fortress 2. Que bueno, estaban dentro de mi servidor de la comunidad. Pero básicamente, este PC, mientras estaba ejecutando un script de Python, ¿vale? Expulsó, hizo un bote kick a este PC de aquí. En el momento en el que el voto llegó a nuestra red, ¿vale? El paquete del voto llegó a nuestra red, este script se ejecutó. Y básicamente este script se conectó a nuestro router para enviarle una petición extra a Valve. Pero esta vez se la envió a Steam en vez de enviársela a los servidores de Team Fortress 2. Esta petición, ¿vale? Lo que nos devolvía a mi PC, ¿vale? Nos devolvía aquí una petición con la dirección IP, ¿vale? De este router. Más la info del juego, etc, etc, etc. Este exploit nunca lo pude probar jugando online, ¿vale? Porque necesitas una cantidad muy, muy precisa, yo diría que imposible de precisión. Y básicamente este exploit que os acabo de explicar solo habría funcionado en un servidor local. Nunca supe si lo de la dirección IP fue porque estábamos en nuestra red local, ¿vale? Y el servidor nos devolvía nuestra propia IP, o si el exploit realmente funcionaba y si cualquier PC le enviaba una petición a Valve el frame exacto, el servidor de Valve te iba a devolver la IP de cualquier jugador. Esto yo no lo pude comprobar, pero básicamente es como debería de haber funcionado, pero no hay suficientes pruebas. Y hace poco, bueno, hace un tiempo ya, volví a probar este exploit y ya no te devolvía tu dirección IP. Te devolvía la dirección IP no de aquí, sino del servidor de Valve. Y nada, eso ha sido todo el exploit.
Needless to say, the way that the informant was talking about it on Twitter was misleading at best, and at worst, she just straight up lied for money and clout. While there were quite a bit of positive reactions from the public regarding this non-existent counter to the bot hosters themselves became irate. They even got the informant into a voice chat to make their thoughts known.
So, I got a question for you. What makes doxing okay? I mean, I understand these guys are doing bad things, but I don't think doxing them is the right move here. It's very illegal and could get you in a lot of trouble.
I know.
But no, I'm dead serious. Why are you doing that? And also, you're grifting people for that as well? That's kind of lame. Asking for money to release the information early? That's kind of fucked up.
No.
That's what you said you're doing on your Twitter, though. And you also said you cleared it up with the admins here, even though you didn't. Care to explain that to me? Speak up. Come on. I'm waiting. Chop,
yes.
chop. Go.
If you could shut the fuck up, please. Thank you. Look.
No, come on. I'm waiting.
Can you please let me talk? Okay, look. The thing is, the money thing, I'm not actually asking for, the information.
You literally did on your Twitter. You said, hey, click that money button and give me money.
Oh. First of all, you're a stupid fucking bitch. You try to dox people through their IP.
Yeah, don't fucking dox people. How difficult is that to understand? I understand you don't like them. I understand they did bad things, but doxing them is not the right move here.
I'm not gonna show the IPs.
You literally did earlier! You showed their address! You showed their phone number! You showed everything! Are you fucking retarded, bitch?
And I was gonna... And I actually, look, I showed you that so you know, because I'm not gonna
You showed it to fucking flex that, oh, I got this IP that isn't even fucking real. Oh, look at this address of this guy I don't fucking like. Dude, that's lame as fuck, bitch.
I'm linked to people because at the moment they're not, look, the IPs, the IPs are literally...
Yeah, nobody fucking cares.
Shut the fuck up, please. I'm talking. Look.
You trip over your own speech so easily, the informant. You don't sound very confident in what you're saying. And that's a sign of that, tripping over your own speech.
She doesn't know what she's talking about.
Exactly,
bro.
she doesn't.
People through IPs.
She literally doesn't.
Geolocation because I saw your fucking country on your Steam profile, dude. It's over for you.
Yeah, using the Steam profile as a source of information is brain dead as hell.
IPs from the same people. We are just actually theorizing and looking at it because we obviously, we're trying to obviously...
Quit stuttering! It's annoying! Quit that.
It's really hard to watch this video knowing how ridiculously inept both of the sides are. I genuinely have no idea why she would take this interview besides the fact that she liked that people were talking about her, or maybe she thought that she could genuinely clear stuff up, but I highly doubt it. There's a couple of things I wanted to point out in this video. The informant had absolutely zero answers for the bot hosters, which isn't surprising. She also lied when she said that she wasn't asking for money from people, as was shown in the video. It could be argued that the informant hadn't asked for money for a sneak peek at the document, but in the end I don't think that it matters much. She was still asking for donations. The informant will claim that the kind of doxing that she was doing was completely legal. That wasn't what she was alluding to on Twitter, but even if what she was doing was completely legal, I would still argue that doxing is immature and reckless. No matter what, doxing somebody because they're a bot hoster is just not okay. Asking for money for the dox is just the cherry on top. And before you start feeling bad for lead scales or rooting for the guy or his friends, don't waste your brain power on any of them. They're all nuts.
I hate Nick.
So true, me too.
This portion has been long, but the main point is that the informant claimed to have had a massive document filled with information doxing the bot hosters that would be able to stop what they were doing in TF2, when in reality, she didn't. She gave the responsibility of making the document to King, and began to push any criticism off onto him, though, even in our conversation, she made sure to let me know that she was the one who made the document, but King decided to take over against her wishes. She wanted all of the positive attention of this document to herself while sending all negative attention to somebody else. The only other document she was able to produce was one containing public information that literally anybody could look up. Nothing in this document can stop the bots. If it were that easy, we wouldn't have a bot problem anymore. Once again, she lied. This time, however, she got burned for it. After the informant was unable to answer the countless people on Twitter asking where the document was, she had a bit of a Twitter meltdown. After suicide baiting her following several times, she finally claimed that she would be leaving the TF2 community for good. The informant stopped posting under the moniker The Informant and began posting under the account called The Geneticist. She created this account to escape the backlash from the falsified document. This could have worked, but she was addicted to the attention. She kept on responding to criticism and negative replies, ultimately digging herself deeper into trouble. Definitely didn't seem like she was putting a lot of effort into leaving the TF2 community, does it? It's another lie. I remember seeing this happen in real time. That's when I first really started paying attention to what was going on with the informant. I remember my first thought being, yeah, she should absolutely leave the TF2 community if it's causing her this much mental anguish. I'm no mental health expert, but I feel like I don't need to be one to have this opinion. A bit later, again, the informant changed her account's handle, name, and scrubbed its history clean. She rebranded the account to Moira_OW2. After that, she went silent for a while until just a month or so ago in May of 2024. She got a notification on Twitter that her account was signed into on a new device. Someone changed the handle for her account and posted several inflammatory tweets, including what was supposedly the dox of the informant's house. Crazily enough, her account was never actually hacked. The hacker was just the informant pretending to have hacked her own account for who knows what reason. The notification that the informant got was odd. It had weirdly little information on the sign-in. Typically, if a new account signs into your device, it'll give you the option to review the login and change your password if you don't recognize it. The informant should have gotten two notifications. One saying there was a new sign-in from a different device, and one showing the location, time, device, and other information. The apparent hacker got into her account, and the first thing they did was get rid of the informant's former friend King's delegation. A delegation is a feature that allows multiple devices or accounts to run one account in tandem. It's not proof, but it's odd that the hacker made it a priority. The informant told me that her account was hacked, and the hacker had changed the account's contact email and password, so she had no way to get back into it. If this was the case, how could she have gotten the notification that someone signed into her account? She told me that she used a plugin that let her get notifications for her deactivated accounts. If you're wondering what the fuck plugin does that, you're not alone. I asked her what plugin this was, and she told me, quote, Alert My Ex. Alert My Ex was the plugin she used, and she got it off of GitHub. After an extremely easy Google search, I learned that no plugin named Alert My Ex ever existed. When I confronted her with this info, she straight up said to me, "Don't tell me they fucking deleted it. My brother in Christ, it never existed. Don't try to gaslight me. What are you doing?" Genuinely, I have never spoken to someone more willing to lie in my life. The whole conversation was like this. I'm half worried about using her word as proof or anything because she has such a bad habit of lying all the frickin' time. I think that all this lying is just proving my point more, though. You just can't believe a word the informant says. That catches us up to the present day. The informant account still sits as the hacked account Get Fucked Moira. She has told me that she's moved to a new account that's releasing Overwatch content, which we have not been able to locate at the moment. However, I will be watching out for a lying, grifting, harassing narcissist over there. Fingers crossed she cleans up her act. No matter where she is, though, the informant will continue to look from the outside in. Even though she says that she doesn't care what any of us think of her and just wants to be left alone, I guarantee you she's watching this right now. To the informant, Amber, Delia, geneticist Moira, whatever you call yourself now, leave. Go away from the TF2 community and you will be left alone. That is, aside from some of the people you've wronged, which you absolutely owe an apology to. You've lied to your community, you've stolen from your fans, you've harassed who knows how many people, you've doxed or tried to dox others. There is no room for you here. I think I can speak for most of us when I say that our community is genuinely better without you in it. I genuinely hope that you can find the professional help that you need to get better. I truly do hope that your future is brighter than your present day. Again, don't go and harass anybody mentioned in this video. As you've seen, there's more than enough of that kind of shit going on as it is. If you enjoyed this video, like it and subscribe for more TF2 Overwatch 2 content. Don't forget to visit my Twitch channel either. Follow over there as well. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. If you want to support me, you can visit www.iwantatipdaws.com to drop a donation. Unfortunately, there will not be a doxing document, and I'm truly sorry about that. Thank you all for watching, and don't touch that dial.